How's everybody doing? All right, I was a first grade teacher, so first thing, everyone raise your hand. I don't care why. Okay, good. We've got that out of the way with. So could you cue the, that? All right. So I started teaching in 1991 in East Palo Alto, which had the dubious distinction of being the murder capital of the United States. I had nothing to do with that, by the way. My job was to go into a first grade classroom with a bunch of recently immigrated children from Mexico who could not speak English and could not read in their native language and get them reading at a first grade level by the end of the year and speaking English. Mission accomplished. 10 years, thank you very much. 10 years of that. After I got over the, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this phenomenon that slaps every new teacher in the face? Like, really, this is the job? It started to really bug me that there was no music in that environment. And this environment, which was so bleak, so depressing, save for the bright, smiley faces of my children. So I'm a musician, and I had a lark. I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring music to my first grade students. And no one's going to pay me, so I get to do it my way. So here's what my way was. I walked into the classroom. Oh, there's a timer. Cool. That way I won't go over. So I walked in the classroom and I said, okay, who likes to play music? Who likes to listen to music that they don't like? No hands. Okay. All right, here's the first class. Here's a 5x8 index card. On one side, I want you to write your 10 favorite bands. And on the other side, I want you to write your 10 favorite songs. That's what we're doing here this year. So I spent the year teaching this group of 30 students how to play songs by Selena and the Backstreet Boys and all of these other people. And we had a time. And we were giving concerts and performances. And the kids started writing their own music, too. That was a big thing. I was like, songwriting is so fun. It's so meaningful. It's so interesting. It puts you in the driver's seat because you're creating something. I mean, it's great to read music. It's great to play other people's music. That's like reading a Shakespeare play. But what about what's going on in your head? Let's focus on that. So people started being kind of freaked out by all these CDs and records. Okay, this was a long time ago, actually. See, I have black hair in that picture. So it was actually cassettes at that point. But we started selling cassettes of the kids' original music. And some of those started making them onto local radio stations and et cetera. And that's me actually delivering the first donated instruments I ever had for my program, which Carlos Santana bought for us after hearing one of our kids' songs on the radio, which I thought was really cool. So what happened was this. First, it was just, okay, one class, 30 kids teaching them to play guitar, mission accomplished. But then the problem became that the kids in the other first grade class wanted to be in the class too. Okay, well, I'll teach you too. And then the other first grade class, and then the second grade class, and then the third grade class. And I'm teaching first grade full-time, people. So it was like every morning before school, guitar class. During my lunch hour, guitar class. After school, guitar class, until I reached a point where I suddenly had to tell the kid and the mom who came to see me after school, I'm sorry, you can't be in music class. And so the mom started crying and the kids started crying and I kind of, I started crying. And I was like, okay, this is too ironic. Why am I the no guy? I'm like the happy yes guy. So hold on, hold that thought, I'll be back to you in a moment. And so what it forced me to do was really think about what I was doing, not as a project that I was doing, but that as a project that a school teacher was doing for children. And I was like, well, I know other children, I know other school teachers, there's got to be something in here. So it forced me to articulate what it was I was doing specifically that resonated so strongly for those students and for those teachers and the parents that were, came with the students. And so I recruited other teachers, and I said, look, this is how I do it. I put it into teacher talk, pedagogical terms. This is the way I structure lessons. This is the philosophy. This is everything. This is all you need. I can get you instruments because all these people are buying our CDs. I just can't teach anymore. And you know what happened? Instead of it being my weird after-school program, it was my weird after-school program plus a couple of other teachers' weird after-school program, and the results were the same. So then I realized, well, wow, I kind of like actually teaching the teachers how to teach the kids just as much as I like teaching the kids, and now I don't have to say no anymore. This is great. So I did that for a little while and played around. And well, before I go on, let me show you a little bit about what the to-do is about. Why was this so fun for the kids? And forget the kids, why was it so fun for me? If you would do me a favor, Bob, and play the first video for us. I know you're not supposed to have fun in school. I know it. It breaks a cardinal rule of sorts, you know. It's sort of a Puritan value, right? If it's fun, it must be frivolous. So we'll explore that a little bit more later. And let's also talk about the original music. Well, you know, you go into a school, a good school, what's all over the walls? Art. Who created it? The students. What's the sole exception? The music, right? I mean, where's the music that the kids wrote? Well, that's the only thing they can't do. All right, so this is a piece that I'd like to show you. This is a little girl. By the way, those kids in that video have been playing for about a year. The girl that you're about to see, the songwriter, had been playing for about a year. Her name is Jade Adams. She's in Jersey City. She's one of our kids. But here, let's let Jade speak for herself. This, Bob, you can roll video number 2.
It's time I grow up and stand like a light. Not a light that is dim, but a light that is bright. It's time to change, be right and rearrange. No more shame, my heart I must tame. I've changed, I've changed.
Let's give it up for Jade Adams. 10 years old, no one in that classroom had access to music. No one in that class had an instrument. All of those students, members of Little Kids Rock, I'm being a little out of order, but I mean, whatever, my class was the same. So in 2002, I decided, wow, I feel like I'm onto something here. Now I would say, I think I have a scaling model. Back then I was like, I think I could reach more kids with this program. So I quit my job as a first grade school teacher, and I incorporated Little Kids Rock as a 501c3. And I started going around the country to different school districts and recruiting school teachers, just as I had in California, and saying, listen, you're serving some of the most underserved children in the United States. And I love you for that. I know how hard that is, and I've got something that's going to help you unlock a lot of doors for your kids. I want to train you to run a Little Kids Rock class at your school. And it started as an after-school program, right? Well, these teachers were trained, I don't know, 3 years ago in Tampa. Tampa's now our largest chapter. And in Tampa, we're approaching 10% of the entire school population enrolled in the Little Kids Rock program during the school day and after school. So I love Florida for that reason. And let me say that that was 2002 when I left the classroom. And this is sort of this is the punchline impact-wise. Over the last, how many years is that? 9 years, we've restored and revitalized music education for 161,000 kids. We currently have 72,000 children enrolled, 14,000 students here in Florida, 1,200 teachers trained, 26 cities, 11 states. It's like a rock concert. I love it. And it's the largest free instrumental music program in the United States today. So I consider that sort of the boring part. Well, actually, okay. Well, sorry for the capitalization is so hard for me. I taught first grade for 10 years. That's in addition to the 2 years that I was in first grade. That's not a joke. It's true. Something about that grade I'm still processing. So, yeah, so that's kind of what we are at this point. But the last thing is like, so why are people getting so excited? It's really our pedagogy. And pedagogy is a big word. A lot of people call it pedagogy, which I always like as an educator. I want to personalize it because I want to talk about you. How many of you took a foreign language in school? Raise your hand. Put your hands down. Told you I like doing that. How many of you still speak a foreign language? Ooh, a lot fewer. Okay. Do you wish you could? You can say it. I do. All right. How about, so here's the joke that we used to say. I was a bilingual teacher. What do we call someone who speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. What do you call someone who speaks 3 languages? Go ahead, you know, come on. What do you call someone who speaks 1 language? I heard it, come on. An American, yes, thank you very much. Here, I'm going to continue with the analogy. Stay with me and see where I'm going with this. How many of you had music in your schools? Raise your hands. All right, good. Put your hands down. How many of you can still play? Similar situation. How many of you wish you could play? Raise your hands. Who wishes they could play? All right. Who associates that kind of image with that kind of image? Does that make you anxious for any reason? Here's what I'm going to say. I know a lot of people have talked about education, how important it is, and I certainly agree. I think the 2 greatest failures in the US public school system are foreign language and music, and they're linked because music is a language, and we don't know how to teach language in the United States of America. 2 possible conclusions. That you guys are all dunces, right? You know, you're successful in every way, except selectively. You just can't do the music thing. Or there's a systemic problem. And luckily for you, music is a language, yeah, well, that's what I said. I blame the system. I don't blame you, the learners. How do we acquire a language? Raise your hand if you're a parent or a doting adult family member to a child or whatever. Okay, what happens? Child says their first words. Dada. Is that a word? Maybe, okay, well. What do we say? Oh my gosh, she's talking. You're a genius. Say it again. Honey, call Harvard early admission. We've got a student for them. All right. Who picks up on that? The kid. Well, that got a rise out of them. Okay, I had prior to this, or, and those were my 2 sounds, but this is a new way that I can get what I need out of this world. Okay. Now, when someone says something like this, we say, he's talking in sentences, right? I'll translate. What does that sentence mean? Mom, I've been waiting for a while for some milk. You going to have it for me soon? Same sentence, different translation. Mama, milk. Mom, if I don't get my milk soon, my world will be ruined forever. How could you possibly be so cruel? Third translation, Mama, milk. Just doesn't get any better than this. All right. Here's what we don't do. Here's how you don't teach language. Here's how you don't interact with your emerging speaker. Mama, milk? That's not a sentence. Here. Look, I think I see where you're going with this. Try saying, use a verb. Mama, I'd like some milk, and then for effect say, please. But wait, would it help if I wrote it down? Wow, what part of Mama Milk does she not understand? Right? So why don't we do this? Well, linguists tell us that we don't do it because it would kick off, and they use a fancy word to justify all of those years of education, their affective filter would be tweaked. And what's your affective filter? Your affective filter is essentially your anxiety level. If I tell you, sir, I want you to stand up and sing the national anthem, does your anxiety level rise? Probably. If I tell you all, sing the national anthem, okay, low-risk activity. That's what the affective filter is. And it makes us feel frustrated, anxious, scared, humiliated, upset, nervous, hopeless, stupid, helpless, alienated, exasperated, confused, all very positive emotions for learning. True or false? Adults learn languages more quickly than children. True or false? Come on, shout it out. Hey, you're right. Actually, most audiences say it's true. It's actually not true. So it's false. It appears that children learn languages more quickly, but all the research points to the fact that children and adults learn language at the exact same rate if they're in the same environment, which is not afraid to make mistakes, not afraid to experiment. The woods would be a very silent place if the only birds that sang were those who sang best. There's over 10 million public school children right now who are not getting music education in the public school system. I consider that half the problem. What about all the children who are getting music education that's disempowering and ensures that it's going to be an exposure model? Like, you know, when you take your kids to someone's house who has chicken pox in the hopes they'll be exposed and then they'll never get it again, right? Because that's a lot of people's experience when you take a subject that's hugely dynamic and creative and you turn it into a didactic, this is how you read the notes, this is the key signature, you will do it this way. Here we go. Let's move on. Our future. I want to talk about our future. That's what a lot of people have been pointing to. I want to talk about some solutions. You know, it was funny when Liz Peek was talking about we're the greatest exporter in the world. What were one of the two things she said we exported? Entertainment. Oh, yes. And Tyler said, can we get our swagger back? And can we compete again? I say, oh yes, I think we can. Our future doesn't lie in our children's hands. It lies in their creativity. Creativity, yes, thank you. You can clap if you want. I'll clap, why not? Okay, I said it, okay, there we go. Creativity is the defining characteristic of an entrepreneur. Above all else, they create things. Like a new drum. Okay, here we go. Sorry. So we stand at a crossroads, right? We can either become cultural has-beens, which is what we're on the road to becoming, or we can remain the cultural hotbed that this country has been for the last 60 years. The world looks to us for their culture, looks to us for their music, looks to us for direction. Imagination is more important than knowledge. This is what entrepreneurs in this country have brought us over the last several years. Because I go back to the Telegraph, I'm sure there's more than that. And this is a quote that I love. We are the music makers and we are the dreamers of dreams, wandering by lone sea breakers and sitting by desolate streams, world losers and world forsakers, on whom the pale moon gleams. And this is the kicker line, yet we are the movers and shakers of the world forever it seems. You tell me one problem there that our children's creativity isn't going to be taxed trying to solve. What intractable social ill are we going to pass on to our children that their creativity won't be the defining asset that we have to combat that problem? Last slide, cover of Newsweek reported the state of creativity in America. And if you'll just read this, because I'm a little bit over time, I'm going to get off soon. This is what's at stake, our economic standing in the world. And so to me, I'll just close. There's a lot of conversation about, oh, by the way, yeah, if you're interested, see me after class. I'll be here. I'll just close by, you know, you had the guy come up and talk about shop. You had all these different educators. I just look at it as a doctor. Shout out quickly. What's the most important organ in the body? Okay, the brain. And second, come on, quick. Okay, sir, your brain and your heart aren't doing so well, so we've decided to take out your lung and your pancreas so that we can focus on them more. Okay, guys, we've got to educate whole children in this country. Thank you very much for your time. Much obliged.